Hey everyone, this is Brett Favre, Green Bay Packers Super Bowl champion, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packers content. Go Packers.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We are flying solo as of the moment. We may have a special guest or two jumping here with us, but if not, we're prepared to just wing this thing on the fly here. I know the chat's already lit up. Appreciate y'all making us a part of your evening. Listen, if this is your first time tuning in to PTA, welcome. We appreciate you making us a part of your glorious Sunday evening here on August the 10th. And listen, we're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members here. We're fans just like you, breaking down the Green Bay Packers, going live daily, breaking down film study, doing pregame shows, postgame shows, in-depth analysis, the whole 9 yards. So if you're looking for daily content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit like for us. Again, thank you for making us a part of your evening. Tim will be joining us here shortly. Just want to give a shout out to some people in the chat. It's a sad day, guys, when this stupid little channel has grown to the point that we can't do the old shout outs like we used to, you know? Like I would normally just go through the chat and just give everybody a shout out that was here live. It's got to the point now where we can't do it, man. But I see AFAM in here, Daryl, Chris Ian, Chuck Jaggers, Jay, Joseph. Good to see you, Joseph. All good. United Bates in the house. I seen Boz in here earlier. Yeah, we got, everybody in here. Clint, the armchair quarterback, too many to really mention. But again, thank y'all so much for the support. I want to say this too, before we get into the content, which is going to be awesome. We're going to hit the PFF grades. So we're going to hit the offensive grades. We're going to hit the defensive grades, the special teams grades. If we have time, we may do a little Jordan Morgan film study. May hold that over till tomorrow as well, because to the best of my knowledge, there's not an open practice tomorrow. So they're going to get the guys back in the facility. I believe there may be a practice, but I don't know how much details or updates we'll have on that. But I wanted to say thank you to everybody who subbed. All right. We're closing in now on 5,200 subs. I do want to mention this though. The last 30 days, all right, so the last month, really last 28 days, we have had 57,000 views on the channel, okay? And that's great and all. With only 5,100 subs, guys, we basically have 52,000 people that aren't subbed to the channel that keep coming back and watching the content on a weekly basis, okay? So if you're one of those people, I know I do it all the time. I find channels I like. I forget to sub, and then I can't find the channel later. I have to go back through my history tab. Oh, yeah, there it is right there. Bang, sub, all that. So, again, if we just got half of those folks to sub to the channel, we would be over 30,000 subs. That would be, you're talking about cracking the algorithm, right? And everyone would find out about the show. So we just greatly appreciate if you take a second and hit that like and hit sub. Again, I hate asking, but really, really, really appreciate everybody just taking a second to do that for sure. So I know we got Tim joining us now. Tim, you just jump in here when you're ready, buddy. And I'm ready to get into these PFF grades, man. This is going to be a lot of fun as we dive in to see who kind of shined yesterday. And again, guys, with the preseason, it went win or lose. If we would have boat raced the Jets by 40 points, I'm sure there would have been fans going, this is the year we're going to win the Super Bowl, right? There also would have been fans, I think, like me, that would have been like, hey, guys, it's a preseason game. It's not about the score in the preseason. It's about getting specific looks at players and saying, okay, can they handle that role, and trying to put them in a situation to where you can maybe, give them an opportunity to prove to you that maybe a weak spot in their game, whether they're playing left tackle like Jordan Morgan, or they're playing a 3-tech at defensive tackle, or maybe like a Nas Stackhouse or one of those guys. Like, yeah, we know he holds up well against the point of attack, playing nose, playing shade, that type of approach. But how does he do in the 3-tech? How does he rush the passer when the lights are on, right? That type of thing. So we're going to dive into the PFF grades and kind of see what PFF says in terms of which players performed really, really well. That makes sense. And some that maybe didn't perform so well. And I'm really pleasantly surprised going back and watching the tape and seeing Jordan Morgan. Jordan Morgan really showed up last night. That's exciting at left tackle, because you guys know the writing's kind of on the wall for Rashid. It feels to me like they're not going to re-sign him. I could be wrong there. I think they're looking at it like, okay, let's put Jordan Morgan in at left tackle next year, and let's pick up the comp pick for Sheed, who should get a pretty good offer going in. But again, it's only one game. Jordan played good. It's only one game, and it was a preseason game. But we got Tim joining us now. Tim, before we dive into the offensive PFF grades, man, you got anything to add? I know we all got to sleep on it now. I got to watching a little bit of film earlier today. I went back and watched the TV copy 3 times. It's like watching paint dry in some cases, but we got through it. Anything you want to add, man?
Yeah, no, I agree with the Jordan Morgan. You know, when you go back and kind of look at the snaps and you kind of go, you know, play by play, you know, it's literally what we do, right, Clay? We go look at film. We're tape nerds, right? You feel pretty good about you know, a player like that, considering that, you know, at times things looked a little out of sorts, but I think he's kind of progressing and proving that he can hold his own out there. I mean, the guy played predominantly left tackle, if not exclusively left tackle at Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think it's too tall of a task to throw him out there in the fire. So I think that's a good sign. And also shout out to Coach Hafley for a great press conference today, by the way. If you guys saw his media availability was awesome. I think shows his leadership and how to deal with you know, some holes and some things you got to fix. And I just feel pretty good. You know, I feel the same as I did last night. Just, you know, a little more clarity as you have a day to kind of digest it and look at some tape, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hafley's presser was really, really good. I like Matt's too. Like what Hafley said at the end when they asked him about Edgerrin Cooper. Do you think he could play all 3 linebacker positions? Do you want him to, you know, do you have anything special for him? And Haf just kind of grinned like a possum in a dumpster. He was like, I don't know. Do you think he could? We'll see.
Is a possum in a dumpster.
There you go. We'll see. So, all right, let's get into it, Tim. Let's waste no more time, man. Let's jump into the offensive side. First of all, pick Tyron Hopper here. This is over on Patreon. If you guys want to be a member of our Patreon group, scan the QR code in the upper right or go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. You get first access to things like this that we put together for the show, and you get some other added perks as well. We're going to hit the questions tab here in a minute as we've got, I think, 1 or 2 questions in there. They work just like super chats here on YouTube. So, again, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. I clicked on Tyron Hopper here for the image, Tim. Tyron Hopper played pretty darn good, man, going back looking at the tape. Then what I try to do, guys, I try to go and look at the tape and then see the PFF. I try to look at the tape at least twice, possibly 3 times before I look at the PFF grades. And sometimes that doesn't happen, just full disclosure, right? I like doing that so the PFF grades don't sway me in any other way. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go, oh, yeah, he had a good PFF grade. Let me look for all the good in the tape, right? I try to steer clear of that. But in this case, I was able to get multiple passes through the tape and then go look at the PFF grades. You guys remember, we have our notes, full disclosure. We hit on our notes last night, and you're going to notice that some of these guys had pretty darn good PFF grades that we had mentioned. You know, we mentioned Christian Welch, special teams tackles, right, Tim?
Yep.
We mentioned
Did he grade out in like the 90s in special teams, something like that?
It was something crazy. I think he was the top special teams guy. We'll get to that here on the backside of the show. Baron Sorrell, you guys remember, I was like, man, he was really rushing with power. You could see just the first time doing a TV copy, like Baron Sorrell looks legit, right? And again, just one game, but he's one that flashed to me. We mentioned it last night. Brenton Cox Jr. Kobe Wooden had the batted pass. I didn't feel like, and I know people disagree with me in the chat, I didn't feel like Kobe Wooden had as good a game as some people maybe thought he did. But then you hear Jeff Hafley at his presser say, yeah, Kobe played good. I think Matt might have said it too, right? So when you hear the coaches say it, I got to step back, check my ego, and go, okay, I'm missing something here. Maybe I didn't understand the assignment. Maybe I didn't, you know what I'm saying? So It's important to look at it that way. Also, we mentioned Kalen King. We mentioned Amar Johnson, which anytime you get a 49-yard tutter from an undrafted rookie, of course, is, you know what I mean? You're going to mention him. But those are just some of the guys. We mentioned the Anthony Belton pancake. I did not mention Jordan Morgan last night, Tim, because I really didn't focus on him that much.
Yeah.
But back and watching the tape, the amount of snaps he got, I want to say he got like 36 snaps at left tackle, but a lot of fun. So for offense, we just picked Amar Johnson. Again, I think this is a guy that's got a legit shot to make the roster, although it makes a whole lot more sense to keep Chris Brooks on the 53 and put him on the practice squad. But Tim, after a performance like that, man, there's going to be teams coming knocking for Amar Johnson, I believe.
I agree, and you can see he's pretty dynamic when he's able to find a little bit of space, right? That was really cool to get to see him break off that chunk run and get in the end zone. So yeah, it's a lot to be excited about. And, honestly, we got Marshawn Lloyd and Emmanuel Wilson banged up right now. So, having a, kind of bottom of the chart, kind of up and coming running back flash for you in your first preseason game, it's a pretty good sign.
Yeah, no doubt. Willie here with the super chat says, let me throw this up here real quick. The Packers still suck. Bear down. Thank you for your $2 to come in here and say this. I need you to do me a quick favor, Willie, if you would, bro. Go do a little research for me. Tell me who has more wins head to head, the Packers or the Bears. Also, let me know.
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
Also, let me know who has more overall wins. Also, let me know who has more championships. Also, let me know who has more Super Bowl wins and conference championships. And then get back to me if you don't care. But thank you for the two.
We're going to give him some.
Greatly appreciated, buddy. All right. So moving along.
Playoffs?
Yeah, no doubt. So here we go with the offense. At the top of the list, no surprise here, Tim. We've got Zach Tom, 81.6. Amar Johnson, 79.5. Jordan Morgan, 76.5. Messiah Swinson, 72.5. Only 10 snaps, though. Will Shepard, your boy Will, 71.6, albeit just 14 snaps. Jalen White only got 2 is what we're showing here, 71.2 grade. Cornelius Johnson only 13 snaps, but a 70.8. Trey Hill, a 70.8 on 12 snaps. Taylor Elgersma, 68.7 on 6 snaps. And then Sean Ryan, who predominantly, I think, played right guard, although he did kick the center as well, 68.4. John Fitzpatrick, tight end, 67.1 on 19 snaps. And then Anthony Belton, the rook, right, 65.9 on 42 snaps. Matthew Golden, the rookie, 65.6 on 12 snaps. Elton Jenkins, 65.5 on 12 snaps. So those are your players that graded 65 or higher. And it's really, really exciting to see young players like a Jordan Morgan with a 76.5. His pass block grade, guys, at left tackle, 88.0, right? Run blocking grade, 66.9. Why is that important, Tim? Because we talk about Rasheed Walker can pass block, but where he struggles is in the run game. And when you see the basement slowly being formed for Jordan Morgan at left tackle, albeit one preseason game, 66.9, man. That's exciting to me. It really is.
It is. It makes you a little bit more well-versed at that position, right? I mean, obviously the 88 grade on Pass Pro is awesome. You have to Pass Pro to play blindside tackle on your franchise quarterback, right? So that's without question. But if you can also bring your A game in the run fits, man, that bodes well, I think, for Jordan Morgan going forward. So maybe there is some truth to your point about Rasheed maybe not being around Green Bay's long-term plans. Clearly there's a dedicated effort to get Jordan Morgan reps out there. That's why it's so impressive to me. I mean, you look at these grades and then immediately my eyes go to the snap total, and when you see a guy get a healthy dose, 30 plus 30, 36 snaps and grading out in the 70s makes you feel pretty good.
It does, man. It does. The way I look at this too, guys, if someone has less than 15 snaps, I try to just kind of, all right, I don't even know if I want to count that, to be honest. Now, if you get a quarter of the way through the season and those 15 snaps add up and now you're over 100, 125 snaps, that's where I really start to pay attention. Like, okay, this is probably a pretty good indicator of how this person's playing, albeit through the eyes of PFF. That makes sense. So the other thing I want to point out here too, penalties. Notice the guys toward the top. The only one with a penalty was Will Shepard in the top, 5, I believe. Then you got to go all the way down to John Fitzpatrick, who had a penalty. Anthony Belton with 2 penalties. That's something. Coach is probably going to pull that up on the tape and go, hey, big dog, we got to clean this up, right? And like Matt LaFleur said in his presser, it's 90% of the time. He didn't say, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but he's talking about we got to get back to technique. When you commit a penalty, whether it's a hold, and I'm sure Coach Lynn can attest to this, whether it's a hold or whatever it may be, 9 times out of 10, you had bad technique and you tried to recover and had to kind of bend the rules a little bit, had to get grabby, had to grab outside of the frame. Maybe you got your hands too high and got a hands to the face, something along those lines. But
that's what happened to Will Shepard. He just right. I remember that play. I mean, it was great. He had great base and great form on that block, but his hand just slipped too much to the outside. You got a handful of that shoulder, you're going to get called every time, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I see someone mentioned Monk in here. Natsu, who I hope I'm saying it right. Monk was struggling. That's the way I seen it too. Now, if you guys go listen to Matt LaFleur's presser, he didn't say Monk had a great day. Okay, don't get me wrong. But what he did point out was on one specific play where I think he got credited a sack given up. They said that they tried to slide the protection toward a safety coming off the edge, and they did not need to do that. So Matt LaFleur made it sound like one of those 2 sacks that he gave up, I believe he gave up 2 if I remember correctly, but one of those 2, Tim, was because whoever set the protection set it wrong. And that's another reason why you've got to really step back in the preseason and look at everything through the entire lens, because it may have been the quarterback that set the protection wrong. It might have been Sean Ryan playing center that set the protection wrong. It might have been a third string center that set the protection wrong. And you got to kind of give people a little grace in that regard too. It's easy for us fans, and I'm as guilty as anyone. Yeah. You see the penalties, and I know Emilio don't play around with penalties. You see penalties, and it's like, can't have it, can't do it. But sometimes, Emilio, right, like sometimes it's not necessarily on the player that committed the penalty as much as it is maybe they did fan the protection in the wrong area or didn't do something, strategic.
It looked like one of those that Monkey even did like kind of a trap, kind of pulled across there and was trying to fill across, and it just didn't work out. I get kind of scheming that up, but yeah, you run into that issue. Penalties are an absolute killer. It kind of just shows, an ill-prepared team. And I hate that for it, because I feel like they've had a really good camp and everything. So I think that it's just kind of tough that that's what you put out on tape. That's what everybody saw of you. I think that's really the issue is, hey, but on the other side of that sword, it's, hey, we got a lot of stuff that we can work on with this tape. There's literally nothing that you can't take from this tape that we can get better from. So I do think that's, kind of the little bit of positive looking at it.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Anything else you see here, Tim, that kind of jumps off the page to you, man? Let me give a shout out to Rick real quick. Rick Kruger, he said, finally a day off so I can join in, man. I know you're working like a dog out there, Rick. Thank you so much.
The card king, man.
All these autographed rookie cards that we're giving away on the show, Rick Kruger sent them all to us as a donation to the show.
I'm still trying to get my Tupac LaFleur signature. I can't seem to get Matt to slow down on the golf cart after practice.
Jim, just got to jump in front of that thing one of these days. Just lay out for it.
I just want an auto. I don't want to end up on the news, Emilio. Come on.
Right.
You ever watch Parks and Rec? Have y'all ever watched that?
Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
Remember when he said, I made my money the old-fashioned way. I got ran over by a Lexus. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, John Ralphio. Yeah, for sure.
It was John Ralphio. There you go. We need that drop, by the way. I got ran over by an Escalade. Somebody needs to just work the word Escalade in there. And every time Anthony Belton gets a pancake, we'll throw that in. But again, Rick, thank you so much. And, of course, you see Larry thanking Rick. And Larry's one who donated a bunch of stuff early on, I think last year, the year before, that we could give away on the show. So you guys are awesome, and y'all are truly what keeps this thing going. So thank y'all so much. So a couple of names that let's look for guys that had 15 or more snaps that maybe struggled. McCole Hardman here, right? 43.0. Not a good debut. Not a good debut at all, right? Donovan Jennings. Guys, in camp, this is what I'm talking about, like keeping up with marks on camp status of guys who had bad days, good days, and tallying it up, not just taking one game, but at the end of camp, all the preseason games, all the joint practices, and having a running tally of, all right, these are the guys that performed well or didn't perform well. I'm not trying to pile on, but Donovan Jennings, 36 snaps. Guys, he has struggled in camp. We've heard his name all camp long. And part of it, they're trying to work him in to see if he can play backup center, and he keeps airmailing the snaps. So I try to give somebody a little bit of grace in that regard, trying to learn a new position and, when it comes to that. But Donovan Jennings, 43.1. He had a penalty and did it on 36 snaps too. That's not a good look there,
That's brutal. I mean, that's if you're trying to make the club, I mean, that's a tough look. I love that they're giving him the opportunity to try, but it's for him, obviously he's going to want to be better. But that's a tough look there on the O-line.
Yeah. Another one, Tim, Malik Heath. You guys know I've been very vocal. I like Malik Heath. I actually like Malik Heath over Bo Melton. I felt a little bit vindicated there because it's obvious they end up kicking Bo Melton to corner. So it did kind of feel like the coaching staff agreed with that assessment. Like, all right, Malik Heath will make the roster before Bo. Let's see if we can find some value at corner, which I think they have. But, Tim, Malik Heath didn't do himself any favors, man. He went out there 37 snaps, 45.5, and that was with no penalties as well. So, listen, he's got to bounce back quick, does he not?
I think so. It's a crowded room, right?
Yeah.
But we know what he's capable of, and we know what McCall Hardman's capable of too, for that matter. We're not going to let, one piss poor performance determine everything, right?
Right.
And I think, it's going to be tough because really, Malik is a dog in the, in the run blocking and, even pass pro sometimes or running those rub routes, things you need him to do, get down and dirty. But I just don't. It's already too tough. I mean, if he's competing for a spot, right, it's probably the last one, or trying to be around as maybe even getting signed to the practice squad. If he even stays, he'd probably get picked up pretty quick. But and then you see the fact that we know Matthew Golden's the real deal. We know what we have in Romeo Dobbs, and I don't know, and I don't want to harp too much on it because we got another game to play here coming up next weekend. We've got a week of practice here. A lot can change in a few days in this league. We've all noticed that. And, we'll all be singing a different tune if he balls out next week in Indy and has a hell of a game. So I'm not quite ready to, give up on anybody just yet. I think that we all should just kind of give him time to work back. Like Emilio was saying, you gave yourself an opportunity to kind of identify these holes and these mistakes that you can now work on. So I think Malik knows he had a bad game, and I'm sure everyone's watching tape right now, and they'll be doing a little film tomorrow before and after practice, and, they'll get it figured out.
Yeah, another one here, Emilio. Jacob Monk, we kind of touched on it a little bit. Looks like he played left guard the majority of the night. He may have played it all night. 36 snaps, 53.3 with 3 penalties. Now, again, Matt LaFleur tried to defend him a little bit, so – it is what it is. Coach Lynn makes a good point. He says, I'm worried about our backup interior guard positions. I am a little bit too, Coach, but keep in mind, these aren't the backups. These are like the third stringers. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is like it's either going to be Sean Ryan or Jordan Morgan as a backup guard. You know what I mean? So it's going to take two or three injuries. And also Matt LaFleur mentioned earlier today that they want Anthony Belton to get used to playing tackle first and foremost, and then they're going to try to work him into guard as well. So I kind of feel like right now on the depth chart, and I could be wrong, you correct me if you disagree here, Emilio, but I think it would probably be, let's say Jordan Morgan ends up winning the right guard spot this year, okay, and Rasheed Walker starts at left tackle. Then it will be Sean Ryan at backup guard, and then after him probably Anthony Belton. That feels a lot better than Donovan Jennings and a Jacob Monk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, honestly, the way they're playing Belton, though, just sitting him head tackle, I love that. I love that we're getting him those reps. I honestly don't know if he's going to be sliding in as much. I think another thing Coach was saying here, Morgan can move to guard also, absolutely. The other thing you said earlier, that Glover injury is looking worse day by day. That is the fact, Coach. We would be completely fine with a backup if my man was out there. So thank you. I appreciate it. Just a little bit of respect on my man's name. But seriously, you're right. I think that's kind of our biggest struggle. I feel like we're pretty set at a backup tackle. Telford, I hope he kind of, keeps stepping up. I feel like it's a battle between Jennings and Monk, and we really need one of them to step up. Both of them having kind of a tough game is hard, but the reps is where we're going to see it. And without, Matt's kind of saying those starters really won't be hitting it as much the next 2 games. You'll see a lot in practice reps, but in the next 2 games are going to tell us a lot as well on these backup O-linemen.
That's why you have to watch those individual reps so closely, right? Yeah, because, like Clayton, you made the point last night, like, we're shuffling so much personnel, in and out of these preseason games. You have so many different looks. The guy to your right and the guy to your left might be different, per series even. So it's tough to kind of, some of those procedural penalties, the false starts or that kind of stuff, I'm willing to kind of give them a mulligan on that one, right? But, if you've got excessive holding and bad technique, that's something you can see on film and you can work on it, right?
Yeah, definitely. All right. So let's move it along here. Let's go on to the defensive side of the ball real quick. That sound good, fellas? Anything else on? Well, actually, we had a couple of tweets. Let me hit these tweets real quick. I'm going to try to start incorporating these into our PFF breakdowns every week in our Patreon group, just to kind of get a little feel for what's going on around social media in terms of the coach speaking and all that. Ryan Wood tweeted out, Matt LaFleur says, quote, it's a possibility rookie Anthony Belton could be moved to guard at some point, but right now Packers' priority is getting him comfortable at tackle. He looked pretty decent at right tackle last night on the reps I've seen. And you'll notice him when we break down the Jordan Morgan tape, whether it's today or tomorrow, you'll see, watch the Jordan Morgan rep, and then we'll probably just reclip it real quick and then look at Anthony Belton. Anthony Belton looked pretty decent. It looked like the lights weren't too bright for him. And it shouldn't be for a second-round pick, Eli Berkovitz tweeted out, Matt LaFleur was asked what he liked after watching film of last night's game. Quote, I like that it happened in the preseason.
I love it.
Love my coach. And then 97.3 The Game said Packers wide receiver Jaden Reed, who was in a walking boot today, on if his injury is a major concern or not. Quote, I don't want to be wrong about anything, so I ain't going to be the one to say, which I definitely appreciate that.
Which translates to?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Yes. To me, I think that's a smart move, because if you say, oh, no, it's nothing, and then you miss week 1, right?
Yep.
Now all of a sudden that narrative's out there, and it's like, what are they doing over there? And then all of a sudden the fans will take it and run with it. I know we would. What did I say about Xavier McKinney? Xavier McKinney said he'd be ready week 1. Nate Hobbs said he'd be ready week 1. What did you hear me do? Immediately go, they're going to be ready for week 1, guys. They're good to go. There could be a setback. So I appreciate that Jaden said that. Although I got to be honest with you guys, I want to get your take on it real quick. I'm a little worried about it. I'm a little worried about Jaden Reed. To me, it doesn't feel like he's a slam dunk to be ready week 1. How do you guys see that? Have you heard anything else? Just on the surface, what do you think about it?
I agree. I mean, I haven't heard anything. I don't have any information, any inside baseball or anything. But I mean, it's kind of hard to read this. Like watching the exchange here at the locker. It's like I don't know if I feel good or if I feel bad. I don't know how to feel right now. I think it's better to err on the side of caution, and maybe you're right. Maybe we should start thinking about scenarios where if in fact Bird is not a go come week 1, what does our lineup look like? How does that affect the depth chart? Hell, how does it affect the rest of this camp if maybe he's not available even throughout this week and going into the next preseason game? How does that change how these guys are stacking up in the depth chart?
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's tough. We're talking as he is our number 1 at the moment. Not having him is, a whole nother thing. But I think he's kind of just playing it close to the chest. If we're not going to play the starters anyway, fine. So you have a couple of weeks to get back. But, the offense is a little different when he's out there. So obviously we would love to have him. But at least it's not a reoccurring thing. They were saying it's not the same injury as his toe earlier. So I'm glad that didn't kind of get, re-aggravated and flared up. But just trying to figure out, what new issue it is.
Yeah. And Natsu in the chat says, how did this guy sneak into the Packers live chat? Talking about the Bears, the resident Bears fan in here right now. I like Chris C's take here. Let him stay if he keeps donating money.
He did. He sent another one there, Clay, right here. Willie, $2, man. Appreciate it. Mark my words. Caleb will outperform Jordan Love forever. Right after they get their right after they get their first 4,000-yard passer, right? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, hey, he's 2 years behind, bro. 2 years behind.
A little bit behind, just a touch. All right, let's move it along to the defensive side of the ball here. Kingsley Enagbare, boys. He's the one, according to PFF. Now, I have not keyed in on him and his tape yet. I didn't see the PFF grades. I went back and watched the tape. I was trying to focus on Barron Sorrell, little Nas Stackhouse, some of those cats, right? Kalen King, another one that I really have my eye on, kind of rounding out that cornerback room. But according to PFF, Kingsley Enagbare going to lead the way here, all right, with a 90.1 PFF grade. Behind him, Tyron Hopper, 88.6. Kalen King, 78.9. Jared Bartlett, 73. Carrington Valentine, 71.
Here's the guy.
Lucas Van Ness, 71. Barron Sorrell, 68.4.
There we go.
68.4, guys. That was on 39.
You heard what Haffey was saying about him, right? Tim and Clay, right? He was that he didn't make the same mistake twice, especially even in the same drive. He was fixing his mistakes in real time. Love that.
And we saw that definitely translated from practice to the field, because I've seen that firsthand. Every time he missed a rep or had a bad rep in a drill or something in practice, they corrected it immediately, and he got it right the first time, every time. So it's nice to see that kind of converting over to the field.
Yeah, and again, some of these are minimal snaps, so we'll try to mention that for everybody on the pod, so you know. Kenny Clark only 9 snaps, but a 66.3. Evan Williams only 10 snaps, a 65.5. Micah Robinson, 7th-round pick, 35 snaps, 65.0. Let's go.
Nice.
Let's go. Carl Brooks, 25 snaps, 64.2. Christian Welch, 63.2 on 30 snaps. Now let's bounce back up to the top for just a second. When you look at those top players, the beautiful thing about the 90.1 from Kingsley Enagbare, he played 32 snaps. Tyron Hopper with the 88.6, 35 snaps. Kalen King, 37 snaps with the 78.9. So I want to say this about Tyron Hopper. This whole time we've been talking, is it going to be Isaiah McDuffie? Is it going to be Isaiah Simmons, right? What if Tyron Hopper just comes screaming from the back of the pack and he ends up being that third linebacker in our base 4-3 and that next in line rotation in our nickel 4-2-5? Obviously you got two stack backers there. How cool would that be, man?
Be amazing.
Be perfect. It would be, Tim, right? It would be perfect because we took him in the third round for a reason. Half Anguti liked him for some type of reason. Let's see what he does. I like that he's always kind of been the mic when he goes out there. He's getting the play calls too. I think going through that helps him. You're not just relying on somebody else. You got to learn all the plays. Like Heffley was saying with Quay, he's got the microphone in his ear. He's relaying it. He's kind of finishing his sentences. That's going to help when you're out on the field in the crunch time in a game when you're able to think without having to, or play without having to think or know what's coming next. So I think Hopper coming in like that would actually be huge. But they really did play Simmons a lot. Walk down on the line. They seemed like they were in their base 4-3 a lot last night.
It seems like there was a concerted effort to get both of them a lot of reps and to get them, different looks. And to your point about Hopper, I think that it shows his game is more refined. They're giving him, the mic responsibilities, and we've seen the physical attributes and then the processing stuff too. Kind of, I think he looks a lot better than he did last season. And in the limited bit of action that we saw him, he looks like a more refined player. And that's where you want your guy to be in year 2, right? You don't want him looking the same as he did the year before. We want guys to progress. And I think, one of the glimmers of shining light in this first preseason game was Tyron Hopper when you go back and look at the tape.
Right. That's a great point. Another one here, Omar Brown, 42 snaps, 61.9. That's, we talked about this. Are they going to try to work him into a spot? Now, I think he got a lot of those snaps because Zane Anderson went down with the injury. That's another one that it feels like Matt is weird. Matt said he's going to be out for a while, but it's not long term. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? He's going to be out a while, but it's not long term. So maybe it's something that's not going to be season ending, but he'll probably start on the pup. He didn't say that. I'm just trying to, decipher what he's saying. So if that's the case, Omar Brown, the door's wide open, man. Jump on that opportunity, And 42 snaps, he almost had that diving interception, right?
Oh, jumped out of my seat. I wanted that so bad for him.
No doubt. So Isaiah McDuffie, these are all minimal snaps here, these next few, 61.9. Then you got Hollis Jr., 61.4. Zane Anderson only played 4 snaps and got hurt, 60.9. Keith Randolph, only 7 snaps, 60.3. Kobe Wooden. This is one I think there was 1 or 2 viewers that were very vocal. They thought Kobe had a good game. Matt said the same thing. The only thing I had in my notes from Kobe Wooden was the batted pass. I didn't notice, wow, look at that penetration. Wow, look at him get that run stuff. Now, granted, when you go to the box score, he did lead all defensive linemen in tackles. Some of that may have to do with the 26 snaps, albeit, who had the most snaps amongst the defensive line? Looks like it was Baron Sorrell at edge, but we're talking interior defensive tackle. It looks like Carl Brooks had 25, so 1 less than him, right? 1 less than Kobe Wooden. So it would kind of make sense he would have the most tackles. I don't know. How do you guys see that with Kobe? Amelia, do you feel like Kobe had a really good game, an okay game, what have you? Because, again, all I have was the batted pass, and then there were a couple other people that seemed to think he had a pretty good game. PFF had him at a 59.5 here on 26 snaps.
I'm super happy for him graduating. I'm happy that Matt took that time and had the whole team in on that celebration for him, which is awesome. I'm so happy that he went back and did that. Promised his mom and got it done. That's awesome. What I did see, I think on that penetration play, I honestly want to put that W on Stackhouse because he was kind of the one that split his guy and got a hand on the running back. And actually, Kobe Wooden cleaned it up for sure. He was on top of it and sallied first getting out of the pile. But I do think I want to put that run stop on Stackhouse on that 3rd and 1, I think it was. But besides that, yeah, he did have a good bat. He did, he had a pretty decent game. I'm glad that He's gotten up over 300. He was saying that in his interview. He was kind of fluctuating between 280, 290 last year. He's over 300 now for good. I'm hoping that he plays, keeps getting better, because he's been the one that I've kind of thought was on the bubble. But if he does keep playing like that, keep bringing that energy, that physicality, he's got a real good shot. I think he kind of got moved off the ball once or twice, but he also, got back there and was kind of slippery a couple times. So
yeah,
I agree.
And then when you look here, who was the other? There's one more person I wanted to look at. We talked about Kobe Wooden. Going down here, Warren Brinson, 26 snaps, 51.6. Bo Melton had 29 snaps, 51.6. Nazir Stackhouse, all right, 48.7 on 26 snaps. This is the first one on the list that I felt like he had a good game. PFF completely disagreed.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't mean that PFF's right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and PFF's wrong. That's why it's important to watch the tape yourself, compare it to some of the grades, look at some of the advanced analytics, and make a determination for yourself. But the other one that sticks out to me, Isaiah Simmons, right? 29.4 is the PFF grade, 39 snaps. Me personally, I didn't even notice Isaiah Simmons. And typically you'll notice the back, like you notice Tyron Hopper a little bit. It's like, okay, he's around the ball, right? Isaiah Simmons. Now, timeout. What did Coach Hafley say? Coach Hafley said, well, we asked him to do a lot of things he wasn't normally comfortable with doing. Like we're trying to get him to try some stuff that he hasn't done before. So you do have a little bit of a learning curve. However, if we were to go with the notch system, Tim, I'm giving Tyron Hopper right now. He's got the upper hand over. I
agree.
Maybe not necessarily over McDuffie, because they like McDuffie so much, right, but he's definitely got the upper hand over Isaiah Simmons right now.
That would explain why, when we did see Isaiah Simmons, especially particularly early in the game, he looked like he was out there looking for his keys or something. He just looked kind of lost. And so when you hear Coach Hafley describe what was being put on his plate in his first game action as a Packer, it makes perfect sense, So, and then you couple that with what you just said, you get Tyron Hopper coming out there, clearly a better linebacker than he was last year, and showing a little flash here and there, and grading out pretty well. Yeah, I think after one preseason game, I wouldn't say Tyron Hopper has lapped McDuffie, but he might have lapped Simmons right now. At least where we're sitting right now. We'll see what happens a week from now, right?
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Emilio, when it comes to that other stack backer position? Do you feel like how would you rank them? 1, 2, 3, Isaiah McDuffie, Tyron Hopper, and Isaiah Simmons after one preseason game here?
I was gonna put Simmons right behind McDuffie with the amount of playing time that they gave him. His performance, I think, is what kind of is holding me back on that a little bit. I'm happy that, again, Hopper having the play call going through his ear helps a lot. I think I was just kind of surprised to see him walk Simmons down so much. Like, if we're going to play that kind of speed on the field, I like it, but I feel like he's going to be stepped out more than, stepped up on the line. If we want that kind of big body, I would be fine with McDuffie or Hopper playing that. So I think it'd have to be, McDuffie first right now, Hopper, and then Isaiah Simmons currently. But he was asked to play nickel, safety, all that stuff, and now we're bringing him down on the line to be a walk-up, walk-up edge player, basically. That's kind of tough for him. I'd rather see him step back a little bit, kind of cover him, spying the QB, something like that.
A lot of those reps you're talking about are ones that we saw massive holes in the middle of the field for huge passing games. And it's like, man, you have to think, like, if he wasn't so close to the line of scrimmage, and again, that's scheme, that's play call. There's lots of different, variables, but I agree, man. I would have liked to have seen what he looked like a little bit more flying around in coverage.
Right.
Yeah. In the chat says we still have 2 more preseason games to find out. We've also got a couple joint practices, which I personally believe are more important than the preseason games, and Emilio, to your point where you said, them walking him up on the line like that, that's probably more along the lines of, let's see if he can do this. That lines up with what Jeff Hafley said, right? Like, in the past, he's played a lot of safety in the league, right? Played a lot of true stack. Let's see if he can mug the line of scrimmage like Quay does, like Edgerrin Cooper does. And if the answer is no, all right, mental note, if he makes the 53, let's put him in a position to do what he does well, as opposed to let's try to force this square peg in a round hole. That's what I love about Jeff Hafley's approach.
Yep.
All right. So anything else on defense you guys want to see there? Any other names catch your attention? I know it's kind of hard to read these numbers. I screwed up this screenshot here, but I can tell you what the grades are if there's anybody else you want to know about here.
Kalen King, can we talk about him?
Yes, absolutely, man. Kalen King, right? 37 snaps, 70, I think it's a 78.9 is what I'm showing here. His coverage grade, Tim, 79.9. Now, listen, it's showing slot cornerback. I don't know if he played every one of his snaps there. I do know this. He made it into my notes 3 times, 2 of which were pass breakups in the end zone on separate drives. That's huge. That's huge. I don't care what game it is. That's showing you a guy knows how to use the back line as an extra defender. That shows you that he knows how to play the football and play it in a pressure-packed situation. Kalen King might be poised for a big step, man.
I thought he looked good, especially when in those situations, right? When the ball's in the air, you got to track that ball. You got to know where your man is. There's a lot of variables in a blink of an eye, and looked like he had pretty good, closing speed, good form. I mean, and you can tell this kid is fired up to be playing football again. Let's not forget that, we're not too far removed from last year when we didn't get to see much of him. And I think he's maximizing every rep he's getting. And I'm glad he got 37 of them last night. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And showed out and performed in that opportunity. Right. I think that, he really did show up. I'm pretty sure I do remember maybe he missed 1 tackle, but besides that, dude, for a guy that was a 7th round pick, supposed to be a number 1 overall the year before, I'm happy with his performance.
Yeah, and looking at the cornerback room here, right? Where do they have Kalen King on the depth chart here according to our lads? Looks like they've got Kalen King as the backup nickelback, which that proved correct last night. And it kind of surprised me because you guys know I've been very vocal saying it would either be Nate Hobbs or Keyshawn Nixon who would kick into the slot if Javon Bullard went down with an injury. Well, both of those, Nate Hobbs was not available, so maybe that could be the case, but nonetheless, last night, Kalen King was the one who kicked in the slot. So it's feeling like it's going to come down to Kalen King and Bo Melton. Let's pretend all the corners are healthy when we break camp. Nate Hobbs 1, Keyshawn Nixon 2, Javon Bullard 3, Carrington Valentine 4. Let's say you carry 5. It comes down to Bo Melton and Kalen King. That's going to be the position battle there. And through one preseason game, I'm giving the nod to Kalen King. But again, they really like Bo on special teams. Maybe that's the position they carry 6 at this year as opposed to 5 like they did last year. That could be the case. Let me ask you guys this real quick, and then we'll move on. Of those 2 players, Bo Melton or Kalen King, let's think in terms of the 69-man roster, the 70-man roster. Which one do you think you would have a better chance of sneaking onto the practice squad, Bo Melton or Kalen King?
Kalen King.
Yeah,
I agree. Right offhand, that's how I see it too, Tim, because Bo Melton's kind of been in the headlines. Bo Melton is more value, multifaceted, wide receiver and corner, and also he plays special teams really well.
And he's feeling a little bit better after that cheese curd incident.
Cheese curds make my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
Sometimes you eat too many cheese curds, you come out looking like this. You know what I'm saying?
Looking like a different person.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anything else on defense, gents?
I just think to the point with Bo, it's like you're right. It's clearly the battles between him and Kalen King, right? But Bo's got the edge of, being Bo Melton. And we've heard the staff and his teammates talk about him. And they feel like they're a better football team with him on the field, period. Whether that's a wide out, a corner, special teamer, guy on the sideline picking up his teammates. So there's, a lot of factors when it comes to Bo besides the X's and O's, but it is going to be fun to watch them try and make that decision because Kalen King is playing some damn good football this point in the preseason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just, where's KT?
It wasn't pretty. And I got to be honest, watching the tape, I felt like he had a bad game too, me personally. But Ketan Oladapo ended up, where was he at? I thought he was
right there in the middle, right there. 22, free safety.
Yeah, 58.0 on 42 snaps.
Okay. That's 79. That's tackling?
That's tackling grade.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Because I thought he did get beat on that one deep ball. The guy turned around, caught it kind of over his shoulder. He was punching through, just didn't rip it out. And I think I don't love that grade, but I'm happy that he had, good tackling grade. He's right around 60, no problem. We'll get that up. I'm glad he got 42 reps. sorry about Zane. Don't want to see that, but I'm glad that, Oladapo got out there. The only thing was that, Halfley was saying we didn't really see everybody getting to the punch and getting that ball out, being, ball king kind of hungry. And that's where we were talking about, hey, these guys are in training camp. They're not actually tackling them. They're focusing strictly on punching the ball out. So now we need to pair those two together. Now that you've had a real game, we got to tie that together with what you've been practicing. All right, wrap up, but also punch. Next guy to the ball. If he's stuck, if the first guy stood him up, the next two are punching the ball out. So that type thing.
Yeah, great point. Willie in the chat say, guys, look, I'm in first place.
Hey, first time for everything, Bears fan.
Yeah, so he's in first place. Willie, I don't see you in the rankings here, bro.
Where'd he go? Is he gone?
No, I'm showing on
that cheese curds suck. I'm pretty sure that he was talking about deep dish pizza, though.
I'm showing on my side that RE Iron Miner's winning right now. Donovan Jennings is second, and Mike Berry's third.
I don't know where Willie went. Where did he go?
I don't know. Anyway, moving to
Sit your butt outside.
Stockowitz tweeted out Jeff Halfley on Bo Melton. The guy gives you everything he has. We just need to keep playing him. So there's your answer there, Emilio. They're going to continue to march him out there and try to get him meaningful reps. And I agree with that for sure. Yep. And then Rafsky tweeted out, LaFleur said Zane Anderson's knee injury will keep him out for some time, but it's not a long-term or season-ending thing. So possibly on the pup, possibly start the season on injured reserve, miss the first 4 weeks, I think is kind of where we're at. Either one of those that you guys want to hit on, then we'll wrap up the defensive side here.
My knee.
It didn't look like a knee to me.
No, I thought he had a concussion.
I thought my man went out cold there for a second. Yeah. So, I mean, at least that's a positive that it wasn't a concussion. I hope that, his knee is all right. If it's something, maybe a, meniscus or something kind of minor there, no ACL or anything like that, or else we'd know. But I'm excited. I want to see Bo get some more reps in these, in the practices and everything coming up.
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving along to special teams. The man that just won't go away, Christian Welch. Look at this PFF grade. Somebody come look at this. 87.8 on 19 snaps. So think about the stack backer room now. Let's pull the depth chart up. We just talked about Isaiah Simmons. All right. Let's say you break camp with 5. I think that's what we broke camp with last year. Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie. Those 3 are locks. Who's your other 2? You got to choose between Isaiah Simmons, Tyron Hopper, and Christian Welch. Okay? So one of those 3 guys have got to go. Tyron Hopper is a lock, 3rd-round pick, right? I think we would all agree. So now it comes down to Christian Welch and Isaiah Simmons. All of a sudden we go from, is Isaiah Simmons going to be the 3rd starting stack backer? And it's early still. He could turn this around, but it's kind of feeling like he might be a bubble guy now. That lines up with the contract they gave him and the lack of interest across the entire league of teams wanting to sign Isaiah Simmons. Doesn't mean he's not going to make the roster. Doesn't mean he's not going to be a significant contributor. All it means is right now to this point, kind of feels like there's a little more value in Christian Welch. Now, when you look at Isaiah Simmons, he had 7 special team snaps. You guys know last year he graded out in the 80s on special teams. 67.1 ain't bad. But boy, oh boy, Christian Welch is making the most of his opportunities again. However, the question becomes, if we choose Isaiah Simmons over Christian Welch thinking we're going to get him on the practice squad, Tim, that didn't work last year, did it?
No.
Somebody else coached him.
That's right. And, the same could be true for Christian Welch, though, too. He's a guy that will get picked up and be in another uniform pretty quickly. And I think you're right. When it comes to special teams, when you're comparing, Welch and Simmons, I think that's a wash. I think you just throw that out the window. They can both play special teams like dogs. How are they playing as linebackers in our defense? And you guys know I'm a huge homer for Christian Welch, Iola, Wisconsin's own. I think it's an awesome story that he's back in Titletown in a Packer uniform again. I would love it if he stayed in that Packer uniform, but I'd be lying if I told you I didn't see him get washed out a couple times on some of these fits. And, that's things that they can work on. But let's be honest, that's things we saw last year on tape too, and might have been the reason why he didn't, make this roster. So I think it's too early to answer that question. It's going to be really fun to see this Indianapolis game and how these 2 guys play as linebackers as opposed to just the special team value that they add.
Yeah, and Emilio, when you look at the grades here, Christian Welch, obviously graded way higher than Isaiah Simmons in special teams. He also graded significantly higher playing stack backer, 63.2 with 30 reps, or 30 snaps, I should say. Isaiah Simmons, 39 snaps, 29.4. So everything we've got our hands on, again, PFF isn't everything. It's not, the gospel. However, it feels like Christian Welch one game in has got the upper hand, I believe.
Yeah,
Sure,
I think that way. I think so too. And it's tough. I think, like you said, that's where the NFL has been. He was a first round 8th overall pick, but hasn't come to anything. Hasn't come to a head or anything. And I think if you get Christian Welch showing up like this, just being consistent, I think you take the consistency over the higher low floor there with Isaiah Simmons.
Let's see who else helped themselves on special teams. John Fitzpatrick, we've been pretty vocal in talking about, has he truly passed up Ben Sims on the depth chart? And I think we would all agree it feels like he has. Special teams here, John Fitzpatrick, 69.8. Let's see if Ben Sims had any reps. Did he have any reps at all? Where's Ben Sims at? Boy, if he did, this ain't good. Maybe he was so low on the list I had to cut it off. I don't think I see him there. Now, they may not have even played him at special teams as well. But nonetheless, John Fitzpatrick has helped his stock once again. Isaiah Simmons, decent, 67.1. It's just no Christian Welch. Significant snaps here, just looking down the list. Omar Brown, 64.1. There you go. So making a little bit of headway there.
Mosby.
Let's see who hurt themselves with significant snaps in special teams. Is there anybody down here? Micah Robinson, a 60, not like, bottom of the barrel, but he had 7 reps. Deslin Alexander, 60.7 on 16 reps. Aaron Mosby, 61.0 on 16 reps.
Alexander got kind of on the outside looking in, but kind of slowly creeping up, though. I think he's been putting together a pretty decent camp up to this point.
Got it. Godsmack AR69 with the super. Thank you, buddy. He says, better the Packers have a week 1 turd in the preseason as opposed to the regular season. Hopefully this will be the year we get it right on week 1. And I'm really –
You think God never farted?
We get 2 – I know it's a short week, but we get back-to-back home openers essentially. That's exciting to me, right? That is true, right? Let me pull up the schedule. I don't want to misspeak here, but I'm pretty sure our first 2 games are at home, right? Yeah, so we got Detroit on Sunday, and then just a few days later we have Washington coming in on Thursday Night Football. But it's nice to open up at home. I feel pretty darn good about winning one of those 2 games. And I still stand by my comments, fellas. I kind of feel like I think Detroit might take a step back this year. I think they may take a step back. I think Chicago, there's a chance they take a slight step forward. And Minnesota, it's one of 2 things with Minnesota. If J.J. McCarthy is the real deal, they're going to be right there probably at the top of the North with us battling, and Detroit as well. I'm not saying Detroit's going to fall flat on their face. But if J.J. McCarthy has that rookie year hiccup and he's not, not as – if they're not as confident in him, if he doesn't play up to the level in which they thought the first-round pick warranted, I could see them going way to the back. I mean, I could see them sinking out of sight. You got Aaron Jones, who's a year older now, right? He was banged up last year as well. It's all well and good to have great receivers, and that does help a young quarterback. But if the quarterback can't get the ball to them on time, if he can't get it there accurately, and I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy isn't accurate. I'm simply saying these are things that there's a chance. All of these quarterbacks can't be hits. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So if J.J. McCarthy struggles, man, I could see them sliding to the back of the North. I could see that in a heartbeat. What do y'all think about that? And thank you for the super chat there. AR, appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is the first time Matt's had a home opener, right, in his entire career as a head coach. So that's going to be huge. I think you gotta come out there with your hair on fire against the Lions, or else we're going to get smacked in the mouth. So I think us getting our teeth kicked in by the Jets is a perfect start, so that we can realize, hey, we need to, everybody kind of needs to step it up, bringing that practice or game speed to practice and practice like it's a game. Every time it seems like we play the Jets, man, we get that was my first time at Lambeau there. Lost, what was it, 28-10 or something like that?
It's a tough one, man. Yeah.
And that was the first game I ever sat 50-yard line, row 1 behind the Packers bench. Boy, did I pick a crapper to go to.
And it was just like, it was one of those games where nothing was going right.
Right.
And on top of that, I mean, for lack of a better way of explaining it, you just got your tail kicked. That's what happened. And then post-game press conference, Robert Saleh says, yeah, we just found out. We kind of hit them hard, pushed them a little bit, found out they couldn't swim, and we just slowly drug them down to the deep end. I was like, you son of a –
Yeah.
Now, listen, if the tables had been turned and Matt LaFleur said it, I would be so fired up. I'd be like, that's the kind of victory you're looking for right now. Obviously, we end up getting the last laugh. Robert Saleh ends up in Green Bay. He loses his job, and, the rest is history. But now he's out there in San Francisco acting all fired up again. But Godsmack, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Also, shout out to Clint, the armchair quarterback, gifting 10 Packer fan total access memberships to 10 random viewers here. You are the man, Clint, and those folks will be fortunate enough to get entered into the giveaway coming up this week. We're going to decide what we – I think we're going to do an autographed Dontavion Wicks rookie card this week. That's what's up this week. Nice little piece of memorabilia from our buddy Rick Kruger. So, all right, let's move it along here. I had a couple of just notes here from tweets and stuff. Eli Berkovich tweeted out, Matt LaFleur just said that the plan is for the starters to practice this week, okay, with the joint practice and everything, and not play. And then next week they will practice, do the joint practice, and they will play in week 3 of the preseason. So unless something changes, it's going to be backups this week, or no starters playing this week. And then the game that Tim's going to, if I remember correctly, right, Tim, the Seattle Seahawks game,
Nice.
You get to see the starters out there. So there you go. I thought that was interesting too. Change things up a little bit. And then Rob Domofsky tweeted out, special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia on the groove that kicker Brandon McManus is in and how he can sustain it. Quote, it's been sustained over a long period of time. He has a pure stroke and is in a really good place in his career. So
well said. Perfect summary of McMoney at this point.
Yeah. And then Paul Brettel tweeted out a quote from Bisaccia, quote, I'm hoping he was trying to make too big of a play too early, Bisaccia said, on Hardman's fumble on the punt return. I'm expecting him to respond the right way. So, Emilio, he's got to clean that up quick because that's another guy, much like Isaiah Simmons. We bring him in. He's had a hell of a camp up to this point, making catch after catch after catch. You drop the out pass for a first down, and then you muff the punt. Somebody said they muffed 2 punts. Did I go to the restroom or something on the second?
I said that I thought that both of his reps looked kind of questionable. He had that one inside the 5 that he just caught and ended up taking a massive shot that he didn't have to take. You can let that one fall and hopefully, run away from it. And then obviously the muffed one was kind of a disaster too. But I think, Coach Bisaccia is absolutely right. If you don't think McCole Hardman's going to have a better showing next week, I think you're sorely mistaken. I fully expect an improvement from Hardman immediately.
Got it.
Yeah, and that's where Rich was kind of like, hey, one or the other. I either need you to play it off the first bounce, or I need you to kind of, hot potato, get away from it, or fair catch it, and don't let your heels leave the 10-yard line, kind of thing. But I think that's kind of where Matt was most frustrated. Was, hey, that's something that we've practiced. You've seen a hot potato one. We've seen that kind of come across, and it's just he wants that decision to be made faster, from the punt returner. That's kind of where I think he was.
Got it. All right. You guys want a good laugh real quick? Y'all want to laugh at the Cowboys for a second?
Yeah.
Always, right? It's always a good day to laugh at the Cowboys. You guys see this clip by chance?
Oh.
Did you, Emilio?
I saw this one.
Tim, have you seen it, Tim?
Yeah, I saw this one. Hilarious.
Okay. So everybody watching here, check this out. So you got CeeDee Lamb. Notice in the background, they're taking a shot play, right? CeeDee sees it's wide open. His guy's got 2 steps, so he's just going, I'm going to turn my back. This is a tutter, boys. It's a 6, right? Well, first of all, if you pay attention to the player in the background, the ball gets underthrown. I don't know what the outcome of the play, if it was an interception, pass breakup, or an actual catch. But he just thought, oh, my boy's going to put this right in the bucket. This is a tutter. Look at poor CeeDee Lamb. Let's go, baby. That's 6. Is that not absolutely awesome? Watch the hat. The hat stays in the same exact spot, but CeeDee does not.
That is crazy.
It looks like Emilio Glover there, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, hey, come on now.
I don't want to play it too much. We're going to loop it one more time, but this just cracked me the hell up.
Come on now. It's at 6. Nope.
And look at the ball getting underthrown back here. Oh man. So anyway, there you go. We'll get it off.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, always mid-season form already. All right, we got one question here in the Patreon group. If you guys want to join our Patreon community, it's the best way to support the show. Just go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Miss Jennifer, actually, let's go up. We had a couple here from earlier in the week. Johnny B says, look like the Lions got bit by the injury bug again. Cornerback Ennis Rakestraw out for the year with the shoulder. I think we talked a little bit about that. Obviously, Detroit. I think Detroit will be fine in that regard. I think they got decent depth. I thought they've done a good job putting that roster together. Where I'm concerned with Detroit is obviously losing both your coordinators, man. That's absolutely huge. Emilio, you got Madden yet? You got Madden 26 yet?
I did. Yep.
Okay. The play sheets, man. When you lose both your coordinators, you lose all those play sheets on Madden 26. You got to. It is what it is.
You get those new young coordinators. You got to build them up. They don't have their archetypes. They can't upgrade your players or anything. I mean,
Can't do anything. Man.
You run into a lot of issues there. But yeah, I think. But then you come and look at the Jets, man, and they came out firing, right? I mean, he had them absolutely humming to come and play the Packers. So I just hope that the Lions kind of fall apart. I mean, if the Jets tear it up this year, whatever. But I hope the Lions kind of fall apart from losing both of their coordinators.
Yeah, I like that point you just made about the way the Jets team was prepared for this game, and you notice they were extremely aggressive early. We saw the chippiness with Zach Tom getting into a little bit of fisticuffs out there on the field, and then we saw 2 late hits in a row out of bounds. Dirty ass football basically. And I think what the Jets were trying to do was get in our heads and rattle us early, and it looked like it kind of worked there, pretty much in that first quarter at least. And I think that's another part of the game that that's a test when you get under the lights, and you got to. We've been talking about protecting 1265 for the last 2.5 years. I'm sick and tired of seeing teams come into Lambeau Field and make us look bad. And so I think maybe a lot of these guys had that on their minds, trying to do a little too much too soon, and then just got their cages rattled. So it's a character test, I think, as you're dealing with a young team that's growing,
Right.
Jennifer Wright with the question here and the questions for the show tab over on our Patreon group. I know this is probably untimely seeing that Jordy was at training camp earlier, but with all of Watson's injury updates, talking about Christian Watson, do you think he gave Christian any insight? I know that his ACL was over 10 years ago, and there's so many surgical advancements. Just curious on thoughts. I don't think that Jordy gave him any pointers on staying healthy or maybe with the rehab gen. But what I hope he did do is give him some pointers on how to play the receiver position, because Jordy was one of the smartest receivers to come through Green Bay. Now, don't get me wrong. He was I think he held a bunch of Kansas State records in track and stuff like that. So as who was it that Ike Taylor referred to him as white chocolate. He said that's what the boys called him because he was so fast. But Jordy and the big superpower with Jordy too was the timing with Aaron Rodgers. So I would try to take a little of that away from Jordy. I personally don't think he probably got any pointers in terms of the ACL, although you bring up a great point. The thing with Jordy too, he tears the ACL, and I want to say it was the next year or the year after. He takes that horrible shot on the sideline in the ribs, broke his ribs, and he was never the same player after that. And rightfully so, man. That dude, that was such a shot that he took. It seemed like it was a high throw on the sidelines to the right. He exposes left ribs and just gets
and then like a true dog, he puts on
flak jacket, right?
Puts on the flak jacket and plays again next week with shattered ribs. I mean, that's just Iron Man football. You got to love it.
Yeah, and I really feel like, Tim, the fact that he played like that too probably sped up the end of his career, because when you feel that kind of pain and you go out there and you play through it and you just muster it up, Emilio, could you imagine? Like I would be flinching every catch.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, your instincts are to protect yourself, right? But the fact that he just kind of had that, go out there and let it rip kind of mentality it makes him a dog, but it also kind of, hurts you at the same time. And that's where you look at the trainers and say, hey, we need to hold this guy back because, he could hurt himself out there. That's what we're relying on the trainers to kind of see and do. Matt can't be out there worrying about that all the time, right? So it's got to be kind of on them, kind of on the player.
And that those defenders are going to be looking to get that shot in too, right? It's no secret. Everyone knows you're playing with a flak jacket on. I'm sure the boys are trying to gun for the ribs.
Yep.
Definitely. All right. So thanks for those questions. Yep, Jen, I mean, they could have spoken about that, but honestly, I think Jordy just had the kids up there running around, getting them around the facility. And I would love to see Jordy. Like that's a guy I wouldn't mind to see on the board someday, kind of like how our boy Leroy Butler is now. You want great former football players who understand how you can do things better as an organization from the player standpoint. I think you want that on the board as opposed to, and don't get me wrong, there's some local business owners, there's some very, very, very important people on that board, but I want former Packer players that understand the team chemistry aspect. I think that got lost for so long in the 70s and 80s. And that's one thing that Bob Harlan did a great job of, is bringing that back into the building and getting former players a little more involved. So I would like to see Jordy contribute in that regard, but he may have gave Christian some insight. So
I like your point to that, right? Maybe a little conversation with him and Jay Money or something, a little conversation about building that timing and that chemistry with your quarterback. Because I mean, I don't know. Nobody did it better than Jordy and AR-12, I don't think, other than maybe Jordy and Tay, right?
Right.
I mean, Aaron and Tay maybe. So
that's a great that would be a great breakdown, is to go, okay, which one, if you had to choose one of those two combinations, who would it be? Would you rather have Aaron and Jordy or Aaron and Tay? I'm probably going, man, that is tough.
It is.
That's so tough, because I want to say, well, you won a ring with Jordy, but Jordy was the number 3 receiver on that roster that year when they won the Super Bowl. Now, don't get me wrong, he caught a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl, but Tay was always that number 1 guy.
Right?
I think I would lean more into how the Packers offense operated when Jordy was there, more so than, Jordy over Tay. Because when Tay was here, it was an isolation game. It was RPO, let Tay do his thing. And then once they took him away, the game plan was wrecked to the point where by the time you made the proper adjustments in the important games down the stretch, wasn't much you could do. That's how you end up in the NFC Championship, throwing an interception, trying to force it into double coverage to Tay, So, but.
Yep.
All right, that's it. You guys got anything else y'all want to hit before we get out of here?
No, a lot of learning. I'm happy that Hafley said he's ready to go through the tape with everybody coming back. You get the weekend off, shake it off. Saturday game. Let's get out there and let's learn from something moving forward this week.
Definitely. All right. Well, we'll be back tomorrow night, guys, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Any news that breaks, any injury updates, you get the guys back in the building. Get the treatment and all that. Maybe we get some news come out on just how healthy or unhealthy some of these guys are. I don't know. Is there a practice at all tomorrow, Tim? I know there's not one open to the public, right?
You see that game on Saturday? There's a practice tomorrow. I'm willing to bet there's a practice. It's probably just closed. Yeah, I think the only open one is Tuesday.
Because typically, you play on Sunday, Monday's treatment day, right? And then you get back to work on Tuesday. But the fact that they played on Saturday, they probably still came in, got their treatment. Tomorrow they're back on the practice. But I think I agree with you there. So, all right. But we'll get back in there tomorrow and give everybody an update as we go through. And we'll also break down the Jordan Morgan chalk talk tomorrow. I'll show you guys why I got excited about what we seen on tape. With him at the left tackle position in that first preseason game, even though it was a butt kick. Telling you gotta focus in the preseason. You got to focus on these one-on-one matchups and seeing the limitations of these players and exactly what they do well and what they do not so well. So, I want to give a special shout out to Godsmack AR69 for the super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate you. And Clint, the armchair quarterback, being very kind, gifting 10 Packer Fan Total Access memberships here. So, appreciate you guys so much, Tim. Emilio, thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Central Time for PTA Live. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Packers.
Here we go.
We're out. Bye, guys.